Sorry about that. We're back. It's really weird. I don't know what happened. Same thing happened to me yesterday. All of a sudden, the computer just I started getting. I lost the audio coming from. Oh wait a second. Let me make sure this is still fucking set up right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Brian, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, cool. So I don't know what's going on, but all of a sudden, in the middle of the stream, I'm using Soundflower
Yep.
to pass the audio from Zoom to OBS.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, I just lost the audio in OBS, and I started to get a pinwheel. So it's got to be OBS just shit the bed, or maybe something's I don't know. Someone's trying to take the driver somewhere. I don't know.
I mean, Soundflower. Soundflower never made it to version 1. I don't think. Right. It's always been like a version 0 point.
Oh yeah, so it's probably kind of buggy.
Yeah. It's always been a little wonky. I mean, it's rescued me tons and tons of times. It's a super useful tool, but it's imperfect for sure.
I think the days of me using this Macintosh from 2015 are slowly or quickly approaching their end. Oh
Yeah.
man. Anyway, so
I had a pretty major meltdown with this machine. It's funny too because I going into this remote teaching thing, I was thinking, oh, no big deal. I'll just add the video conferencing element into what I already do. It'll be fine. But one of my colleagues, Matthew Davidson, mentioned something early on about how he feels like he's pushing his computer right to the limit whenever he's teaching classes anyway. And so to also ask it to be like a TV studio is kind of a lot.
yeah.
I mean, it's been working, but my last day of classes, last Friday, I finished my final class and I sat down to like just type up an email to all my students just to be like, hey, congratulations, you survived like the craziest semester ever, blah blah blah. And I opened up Photo Booth on my Mac to just to use one of the Funhouse Mirror kind of filters and take a funny picture of myself, like sitting at the desk that they've been seeing me at all semester, right? Zooming. And when I opened Photo Booth, it said, oh, your photo library, we can't find it. Do you want to make a new one? And I was like, oh, that's weird. Okay, sure. Took the photo, sent the email, closed Photo Booth and the mail app, and my entire desktop was empty. All of my files are gone.
Oh man.
A bunch of my preference plist files are gone. It's like the weirdest timing. Like I just finished my last class of the semester, sent an email to everyone, and then I got completely wiped out. So I was able to get all my grades in because a lot of the work that students have done is, it's not just on my laptop. It's also uploaded somewhere. So I was able to do all the grading, but like even searching, like Spotlight search or even searching in the mail app, nothing's indexed. So I can't like search for a student's name. If I'm like, oh, I can't find their project 3, maybe they emailed it to me. That's something I would normally do when I'm grading, is just look somebody up before I fail them, because sometimes they just emailed it or they sent it some other weird way. But I couldn't even search any of my files or my emails or anything. It was intense.
Oh man.
And it's funny because I've been a computer guy for a long time, but I'm starting to do the lean forward thing already. But in the last year or so, I've started to get away from the laptop as much of an instrument. I've been using my MPC again. I got an MPC Live, and it's awesome. It's battery powered. It's got a nice rechargeable battery in it. So it was, in a way, I was like, it's heartbreaking to lose all those files. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to discover, as I go looking for things, I'm going to really learn what's missing. But
and then like a year from now, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's gone.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Do you so you just had a hard drive failure, or what happened?
I don't know. I had a bunch of the Berklee tech people helping me out, and I had some friends, just like IT kind of friends that were helping me out, and it's just a mystery. It's
Computers. So
yeah. I mean, so many things like are untouched, like but like my iTunes library, and it's really weird. And just all the contents of my desktop, which unfortunately is where I had been organizing all of my files for the last couple months.
yeah, I have 4 hard drives right now, which I'm probably sure isn't helping my cause. So I get a
Oh, they're all
RAID
hooked up?
solution. Yeah, all hooked up. Yeah, they're all hooked up.
Yeah.
I have like I had to get a special adapter to go from USB 2 to USB 3. This computer has Thunderbolt 2 on it,
Hmm.
so you can't get an adapter to go from Thunderbolt 2 to USB 3. It is this whole thing. I mean,
Weird.
ev-
Huh.
every month is something new. It's like, oh, this is,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
now this, oh.
Right.
It's crazy. You figure that Mac help me out here. Come on. So you're using Cubase, you said, right, to do stuff. Is it because you feel that it records a better audio signal?
Yeah. So, whenever this comes up, I always remind people, students, whoever, that you could spend the rest of your life arguing this on an internet forum as far as like which DAW is best and whether they sound different or whether they sound the same. The thing about Ableton, and again, I love Ableton, and I've been using it for many years, and I think I probably use it every day, but it was made for live performance, and in most DAWs, if you're pushing it too hard, you've got like too many plugins or too many tracks, or your buffer is too low or whatever. At some point, your computer's going to reach its limit, and you're going to get a dialogue message pops up and says, "Sorry, can't handle what you're asking me to do. Here are some things you could, increase your buffer size, reduce, increase some tracks, whatever." Ableton doesn't even have a dialogue message like that.
Oh.
When you push it, it like struggles, but it pushes through because it's made for live performance. And so that tells you a lot about the audio engine in there, and what it's prioritizing. So how often does that happen and you don't even know, because there's no indication except that you hear it happening.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I don't really trust Ableton with the like sample accurate kind of capturing
I gotcha.
and working, but it's amazing as a creative tool. So that's why I end up using, a lot of people use Pro Tools as the sort of the second phase. I like Nuendo and Cubase just because I've always liked Steinberg, and I don't know, it's the one that I sunk into maybe 10 years ago. But the audio engine is it's going to prioritize things differently, and that helps,
Yeah, I'm just using this 57 right now. And I have a Focusrite interface, and I bought this Ortura keyboard. See? I don't know if you can see it, this little guy.
Oh yeah.
But I got Ableton Live light free with that
Yeah,
keyboard.
nice.
And the keyboard's
Yeah.
$100. So for $100, like what I've been able to do for $100 it's insane.
Yeah, it's awesome. The other thing to think about when comparing these softwares is like, if you're in a studio and you're using a mixer, that's kind of what it looks like in the window, and you're using the software, whether it's Logic, Pro Tools, whatever. It's basically emulating a mixer. But that's different than like a DJ mixer. It's similar technology. You got faders and stuff, but a DJ mixer, that's like an instrument. It's not a production environment the way like a recording console is. And I kind of think of Ableton like that. Like it has a mixer and stuff, but it's like an instrument for performance, and it does a great job at that. And there's definitely been times when I've like done an entire project straight through mixing in Ableton, but it's rare.
Yeah, I was using Adobe
Audition.
Yeah, because I have the suite, so it comes with it.
Yep.
I was using that before I was using Ableton. I was actually using this sequencer on my phone called Beatmaker 2.
Yep.
Have you used it? The thing is awesome.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, for a little while, when iPads first became a lot more affordable and a lot more people had them, we did a prototype course at Berklee where it was like performing music with iPads, and so I went through a lot of those different beatmaker kind of apps. It was cool. It's a fun class.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like a nice little tool to have on your portable device, so you can just be creative, right? In the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere, hopefully, maybe.
Yeah, it's a funny thing because like a lot of people have talked about iPads and tablets and phones and whatever as being having this potential as a creative tool, but they end up being used just to consume more content. They're really, I mean, obviously iPad is really good at like playing YouTube videos.
Yeah.
But if you spend a little time with it and you get used to like even just a handful of apps, you can definitely make some music on there. You
Oh
can
hell
make a
yeah.
lot of stuff on there. It's a lot easier to use it as a output device instead of an input device.
I
But,
wish I had the reference available, but I know there's a couple artists that have made albums completely on their phones.
oh yeah, sure,
Um,
yeah.
who knows the sound quality, but still, it's like pretty incredible that you can sequence and sample and do all this thing with a thing in your pocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even 10 years ago, that
Yeah.
wasn't happening.
Yeah, I use a little video editor on my phone, and I get a lot done on there. you know.
It's cool. I love it. So let's talk about some musicians we know.
Sure. Yeah,
Go ahead.
I feel like we could spend hours just talking about the weird neural network that is our social sort of not circle but web.
Yeah,
I
because
I
go ahead.
I feel like you and I have hung out maybe 2 or 3 times,
Hmm.
but there's constantly new people on the list that we've both known for years and years.
Constantly.
You know.
I mean, we were married by the same guy, for Christ's sakes. I
Mhm.
mean,
Bill Webster.
Billy Webster, man, I love Bill Webster.
guy.
He's the man. Cameron, shout out to Cameron also. Well, you're from Westport. I'm from Fall Rive.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you know people from Providence that I know from Providence, and then you're teaching
Yeah.
at Berklee. I went to Berklee. I don't know how we never met each other at Berklee. We were there at the same time, pretty much.
Yeah, I was there 95 to 99.
Yeah, I didn't graduate, but I started in '96, and then I was in Boston till like 2001. I worked at Cakewalk. I managed a bunch of bands. I was always hanging around. And then
Yeah, weird.
I was trying to think. Yeah, it's pretty crazy that we'd never met each other back then.
Yeah, it's weird. How did we actually end up meeting?
I don't remember. Is it a Groovis Mall show, or is it well, you met Gavin after Groovis Mall was over, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a funny thing with Groovis Mall in that I never gave them a chance. I've learned this about myself over the years. If at some point, like, I don't know if somebody else said it or if I heard just a little clip of them or whatever, but I wrote them off as like local 311 knockoff.
Well, I think when they first started, I remember seeing them way, way, way back at one of their first shows at some warehouse somewhere, and being like, "Wow, that's what this is." But they changed so much after the first year, you know.
But I liked 311 at the time, so
Yeah.
it's even that it doesn't make sense, you know. But then I think we were talking about Rob Pemberton, who was the guy that was my like studio technology mentor after I graduated from Berklee. Because when I went to Berklee in the synthesis department, we didn't have like microphones and studios and stuff. It was just rooms full of computers and nerds and synthesizers, you know. Now the EPD department, which is the new name of what was formerly the music synthesis department, now we have studios and a nice collection of microphones, and they learn a lot more of that kind of studio tech stuff, even just like recording and mixing stuff. But I didn't get that at Berklee. I got it kind of afterward when I got a job at the Sound Station 7 in Providence.
Okay.
Because they had just installed Pro Tools, which meant I was comfortable in there, but like I had to learn stuff about patch bay and how to wrap a mic cable and some basic stuff. So Rob Pemberton was my guy there. And Rob had worked with Groovis before, and I think it was the Bullet Lever Key album that Rob and Gavin were working on. I don't know if you know that one, but that's a Gavin album where he tells his life story, but like starting at the end and working back to like a Groovis show. It's really interesting, and so I really sunk into it, and I was like, wow, this guy is a real artist.
Oh yeah, he's insane.
and this is speaking to me, you know. So then when Rob was working with him on the next thing, which I guess was Home, we met, and then I ended up getting pretty involved in that album. And I don't know if it was before or after that, but there was also a Ibu Gogo album
Oh yeah.
that I was somehow involved with, which is then when I met Brendan and Justin, because both those guys were in Groovis and then were in Ibu Gogo with Gavin.
So you were in the synthesis department at the same time Steve Guiding was taking synthesis.
Oh, was that his major?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And he was a year behind you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
interesting.
guys were definitely in that, and so was our friend Matt Thornton.
Oh, I remember that name.
Yeah. But we're all started in '96, so we're a year behind you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty crazy. Like you probably sat in maybe not sat in a classroom with them, but definitely walked the hallways.
Yeah, totally. For sure.
And then we know a bunch of people like Keith Pirtle and Corey and
Right.
Cameron. And I worked at the Bayside. Whoops! I worked at the Bayside, your old home neighborhood, almost pretty much, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I could throw a rock at the base. I wouldn't hit it, but I could throw a rock at it.
Do you know Johnny Laundrie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was in a band with him at some point. Brain Dive. I was in Brain Dive with him.
When was that?
93, 94.
Before he was Johnny Laundrie.
Yes.
I gave him that nickname, by the way.
Oh, nice. Well done.
I was working with his band Transparent that Keith was in, and he was working a laundromat, and I was living in Fall River, so I'd always go by there and drop my laundry off, and be like, Johnny Laundrie does my laundry.
Well, it's like a family business, right?
Yeah, he's like, Almeida, I'll flip your laundry, but I'm not folding your underwear. Oh, we gotta get Johnny Laundrie on here.
Yeah, there you go. I haven't seen. I mean, I've seen Corey Pirtle, in the last few years, but I haven't seen Keith or Mr. Laundry in a long time.
I haven't seen Keith in a while. I saw Johnny last summer at
Yeah.
his daughter's birthday party.
That's because that's what we do now as adults, is we have little child birthday parties.
Yeah, keeps us going, keeps us together. We got a shout out to the Pogashes while we're here too.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was fun seeing him on your coffee time.
Oh my gosh, we worked a lot together. Well, he hired me to do a bunch of jobs. Well, I worked with him for a whole bunch of time, and then he's pretty much the guru is grounded for a while until this all alleviates, as we all are.
Yeah, it seems like he can do a lot though. From he's got a little setup at home, right?
Oh, his basement is good to go. He's got a little studio down there. I mean, he's doing Good Booze every weekday, I think, at like 5:30 or something. So that's a pretty cool little show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to do a drink show, but I don't know. Maybe we'll do one once a week. I just feel like this little break is good for me,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's tricky because what he does so much of the time is he's training servers, right? So servers aren't serving.
Yeah, he's training everybody, and he's also doing from remote now too. He's doing team building.
Oh yeah, cool.
So, for an example, we'd go to a corporate office and break everybody into groups and teach them how to make drinks, and then they would do like a drink competition. Mm-hmm. So I did a couple of those for him.
Well, I guess he's also like he's kind of broadcasting for people at home though too, right? Because like I used to always see him on Good Morning America and things like that, right? Where he's come on and talk about like here's how to make your Halloween cocktails or whatever.
Or your Valentine's drinks. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he could certainly do that stuff still.
Yeah, he's doing all right, I think. Johnny Pogash.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, buddy.
It's a funny thing. We met him and me, Megan in our birthing class, And then in the hospital, I think I told you the story, but in the hospital, we're just had our first baby, and the staff comes in and they rush us out to the recovery room because somebody else is coming in to have a baby, like right behind us, coming in hot. And it turned out to be them, who we already knew from weeks and weeks of birthing classes. So it's funny to have our kids born back to back like that.
I
And they're
just
still
remembered
friends.
something. I just remembered
Yeah.
something. Did you just start dating Yvonne when she was living with Coop? Do you remember that?
No, I know the name Coop. I don't think I ever met Coop, but I think that that's probably how we met. Okay. I think that there's an Yvonne introduction in there because I remember starting to work with Gavin, and she said, "Oh, he was in that band Groove Small. You must know Chris Almeida." And I said, "Who?" And then at some point later after that, I think maybe when we were all living in New York, maybe we met.
Maybe. I feel like I met you in Dartmouth before that. At like one point, just real passing quick. I don't know. Maybe we'll figure it out
Yeah.
someday. Someone can help us. Someone help us.
These are important issues.
How did we meet? What was the first time? So, what are you looking forward to over the summer?
Oh, reclaiming my yard from nature.
Nice.
I'm going to be teaching. We do a summer semester. It's a little bit shorter. It's 12 weeks instead of 15 weeks, but I'm still going to be teaching, which is great.
Sorry, I got one question here. I'm just checking that here. Any thoughts on conventional education versus how bountiful the internet can be if you're willing to use it?
Well, are we talking about learning everything you need to know from YouTube? Because that
is bad.
That's a slippery slope. I mean, there's good stuff on YouTube, there's great stuff on YouTube, but I could also just make up a bunch of lies about how to use a microphone, post it on YouTube later today, and people can watch it.
I think maybe integrating the two, classroom setting and more of virtual learning.
Yeah, I mean, teaching in this remote way has not been that bad for me, but I think that's because I had done a lot of online tutorials. Like I had created a few series of online tutorials in the past, so I'm pretty good with ScreenFlow and that kind of stuff. ScreenFlow is like a screen capture software, so that I can, do some sort of mixing or sound design task and record my screen, but also the camera and my voice. And it also does some interesting stuff, like it tracks where your cursor is and any keystrokes that you do, so that afterward, when you're editing it all and chopping it all up, you can have it zoom in on the cursor or blow up the cursor or show your keystrokes, because
cool.
all that stuff is getting recorded.
What's it
behind
called?
the scenes. ScreenFlow.
Cool.
Yeah, it's good. So what I've been doing is I've been making lecture videos basically, and then pushing those out to the students, and then we meet over Zoom just to discuss it. And I feel like it's been working really well because it gives them time to be in their own space with speakers or whatever and kind of play along a little bit, pause the video, rewind it, and then come to the Zoom meeting with real questions, having done it. It seems to be working pretty well. As far as like using things like YouTube and other, I mean, there's tiered there's tiers of quality, right? There's the free stuff that's out there that, like we were saying, YouTube is a mixed bag. Some of it's good, some of it's terrible. But then there's other sites like Ask Video, I think they're called now. I know there's a site that I did a bunch of tutorials for where, you pay a subscription fee and it's a much higher level of content. Or things like lynda.com, some of those things they're going to be better quality just because they're regulated in some way. It's not just somebody making a silly video about how to waterproof a microphone and posting it up. But yeah, there's definitely times where, especially these days, because like I was saying earlier, we don't students don't walk by me in the hallway and say, "Hey, by the way," and ask a quick question. There's none of that. So there's a lot more
Hmm.
emails and things with little questions. Um, there's definitely times where I'll send students to watch a YouTube video because it speaks specifically to the struggle they're having with a certain concept.
Hmm.
It helps.
So it's pretty. I mean, I don't think there's ever any. Obviously, it's never going back to the way things were completely. But
Yeah.
hopefully, we can learn some stuff and get some new tools and add that into the future, right?
Hmm.
No matter what it is we're doing for teaching or for being musicians or or an
Hmm.
artist. Um,
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because everybody's doing like just Facebook Live and Twitch streams and
mhm.
stuff like that. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, um, if people are going to keep doing that in the long term, or if people are going to keep watching those in the long term. It's interesting. Do you know Lexland? Do you know who that is?
Uh, do I? No, I don't.
She's from, or she's not from Austin, but she's in Austin. Um, I think she's from California originally. Anyway, she's sang on a lot of the Gavin stuff that I've worked on with him, and she's a fantastic singer. She's been doing Facebook Live stuff, I think once or twice a week for a couple of years now. And so, when this all went down and everybody started doing it, she already had it down. She's got
Hmm.
a whole system. I'm sure she's using OBS. I'm sure she's got a nice little setup going already. Um, and it's cool the way she does it. She's got a Patreon and a virtual tip jar, and she takes requests, and she's got a whole song list, so you can go on there and check out the songs that she knows. Um, and she's really honed the skills of like interacting with her listeners, her
Hmm.
it's like the fans and the super fans kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, and it's interesting to see because I haven't seen her in person in a long time, but I feel like I've been able to keep up with her musically quite a bit because she's just been doing that so much. So obviously there's people that have been doing it that will continue to do it, and there's people that consume music in that way too. I mean, it's been nice for me on the days when the kids are here with me. If they go to bed and somebody's performing on Facebook or something, I can actually witness it. Whereas if it was just something in person, like you know, on the days that I have kids, I'm home. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not going to go see live music, but now I can. It's been kind of interesting. Um, so I kind of
It's
hope that more of that sustains, but
it's so
we'll
funny
see.
because a friends of mine do a DJ set a couple times a month, and we never get to go. But they streamed it, so I'm
Hmm.
like my kids can go to your dance party finally.
Yeah,
It was like
yeah, it's
eight
cool.
o'clock on a Saturday night, and it was it's pretty cool that
Yeah.
you're right about that part of it is much more accessible to folks like us because we can't leave the house with the children's.
Hmm.
We could leave them sleeping in the I could leave the cat watching them. Chris Haskell says, "Good morning, yo."
Good morning, Chris Haskell. Do you know Chris Haskell?
you know, I don't,
Huh.
but I think we have a bunch of mutual friends.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I was thinking about this. There's a thing that my mom has always said about me, which is that if I went to the moon, I'd run into people that I know there,
Hmm.
because it seems like wherever I go, I run into people I know.
Yeah.
I think that's true. You know, I mean, if I went to the moon right now, probably not because there's nobody there. But if people were going to the moon, like if I was going to the moon, that would mean that other people were also going to the moon, and I probably would know somebody there. But I think that you're one of those people too. And so it's this interesting thing where we both have like these very large social circles,
Hmm.
and it's there's a ton of overlap as a result. But yeah, Chris Hackle, Chris, I almost called him Haxel. Chris Haxel. I'm gonna call him that from now on. Chris Haskell's an old dear friend of mine, going back. Uh, I'm not even sure how long, but he's one of the guys that I did a video overdub bomb on. That's been one of my things during this time period, is that I grab other people's videos
Hmm.
and then I overdub myself, video and audio on top of it, and without their permission, then I repost it, so it looks like we did it together. But in fact,
Dude,
I just
wanna
stole
see
their
this.
video.
How did I not see this? Anthony Tedesco says Brian and the Cassettes live stream.
Yeah, Brian and the Cassettes. I miss Brian and the Cassettes. That's a band that I've had going for, I guess, about 3 years now, 2 or 3 years. But
I've never
that's an
seen
in-person kind of thing.
you play live, and I watched some of your stuff on the internet yesterday. I'm like, how have I not been to one of your shows? I don't know. The same reason why we've only hung out 3 times.
Right. I think that you put the Vimeo link up when we were talking about like your intro page or whatever, the teaser page. And I realized that a lot of the things that I've been putting up, I was putting on my YouTube channel. So,
well, we can share that. I'll add that on today.
But that's where you'd find me overdub bombing Chris Haskell and other people.
Do you have a name for your channel? Have they allowed you to have one of those yet?
I'm not sure I even looked into it that deeply. I mean, I could just...
Yeah, they would, like, after you reach some certain threshold, you can, like, name your channel.
I think I have 10 subscribers, so I don't think I'm there yet.
I'm definitely not there.
But I have, like, I have too many accounts, so I'm trying to, like, clean things up a little bit and consolidate.
I have 2, so I just started using YouTube Studio.
I'm pasting this into the Facebook side of things.
Let's see where it pops up, if it's going to come up in my restream.
So, the overdub bombing thing has been fun because, as I'm watching people do their Facebook Live things, I'm making little notes like, just last night, Craig DeMello was playing, and I was like, oh, 5 minutes in, he played that song. I'm going to steal that. and then I just hope that the people that I'm doing this to don't get too upset about it. I mean, I'm only doing it with people I know. I'm not grabbing like a John Mayer clip and playing over him. You know what I mean?
I'm just reposting the link you just sent. Amy Silva says hello.
Little Amy.
She says, "Worlds collide."
Yes. Yeah, I think that was the first. I think the first coffee time I saw was when you were talking to Amy. Hi, Amy.
Yeah, Amy said we go way back. Amy Silva, rig trip. We go back to like the early '90s. But I gotta let you go. We got Disrupt America coming on in about 5 minutes.
Cool.
Here on our channel, and I'm gonna mash these 2 pieces together in Premiere later.
Yeah. Sure.
And then we'll have like the audio version on my Spotify podcast channel, and we'll get up on YouTube. And but we definitely have to hang out or do music somehow.
Yes. Do some more things.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you some of the stuff that I've been messing around with Ableton. Tell me what you think about it. It'd be great.
Cool.
Awesome. Dude. All right, just I'm gonna have you hold on there while I roll our outro clip. Folks, thank you so much. I gotta switch over to my computers. Gonna switch over my one shot. Oh, here we go. So, folks, thank you so much for coming out today and watching Brian, Cass, and myself just jibba-jab here on a beautiful Saturday morning, Coffee Time Special Saturday Morning Edition. We'll be back on Monday with Ben Terry from Rhode Island. And I just want to say thank you so much, folks. Have a great weekend and enjoy that sunshine. I'm going to go bake some bagels. And now I leave you with the comedy genius of Josh Bell.
I don't want to be a sailor anymore.
I'd like to be a sailor, yeah, for quite a long while if it's possible.
I don't mind it. I kind of enjoy it.
It's alright.
But when you say it's alright, what you really mean is that it sucks, right? A whole life at sea, time wasted.
Time spent with your brothers. With your brethren. Bonding with your siblings. Your kin, your kind.
I don't have one brother on this ship. Boys?
Nope.
None. How many family members do you have on this ship?
Coffee